Some relationships don't end because they're toxic. They end because they require you to abandon yourself in order to keep them going. They end because they require you to make more space for people who reflect who you're becoming instead of who you used to be. And although these decisions can be difficult to make, they become absolutely necessary when these relationships consistently become more like a burden than a gift. But unfortunately, it's not always clear when it's time to walk away. So today, I want to make this process a bit easier for you. Here are 5 hidden signs someone isn't meant to stay in your life. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off. This means being more intentional with who has access to you. I'm Justin Trinity, and welcome to Midnight Sanctuary, a home created for who we are and who we're becoming. Now, let's begin. Have you ever felt guilty for wanting to live differently? For longing for a life that actually excites you instead of a life that feels empty? A feeling that if you choose what feels right for you but doesn't make sense to anyone else, then you're making a mistake? Well, you're not alone. This has been my life for the last couple of years, and at times it has felt isolating. But surprisingly enough, I have never felt more free in my entire life. I used to think I was betraying everyone else if I chose to live and express myself in ways they couldn't relate to anymore. I used to feel bad for obsessing about challenging myself, for saying no to things that didn't really interest me anymore. But eventually I realized that saying no to them was me saying yes to my destiny. I realized that the people who are meant to stay will encourage my evolution, and better yet, they'll embrace change in their own unique ways. These people will celebrate who you're becoming instead of telling you, you changed. Like, that's supposed to be a bad thing? Well, that's what I want for you. To be celebrated and encouraged. Life is too short to sacrifice any of it for people who treat your life decisions as a personal attack. This is the game of life, not Uno. But if you make me draw 4, I will find where you live and I will haunt you for eternity. Sign number 2, you feel off being your happiest self around them. If you hide your joy, downplay your wins, or hide yourself when you're at your happiest, then that's not humility, that's self-editing. That's because real connections don't punish happiness. They hold space for your wins, your losses, and everything in between. It's possible to be in a difficult season of your life and still feel genuine joy for someone else's happiness. For example, I'm in a season where I deeply desire partnership. I'm longing to meet the woman in my dreams, the person that I'll be able to build my life with. That longing is real. And yet, when I see couples that truly and deeply appreciate one another, I don't feel envious or unworthy. I am grateful that this couple is proof that true love does exist. Because someone else's joy doesn't threaten me. It reminds me of what's possible. If I make someone feel bad for what they have, chances are they won't feel comfortable to share those parts of their lives with me, and I'm sure you would do the same. We have no idea what anyone else has been through. We don't have any idea of the struggles that they've had to endure, all the sacrifices they've had to make to get to where they are, to have what they have. And I think it is important to not downplay someone else's wins. So if your happiness makes someone uncomfortable, if your wins create distance instead of connection, if your joy has to be muted to keep the peace, that's not timing, that's incompatibility. Okay, so this next one can get out of hand pretty quickly. Sign number 3 is when you begin to carry their emotional burdens. Some people don't realize that the more they refuse to resolve their problems and emotionally regulate themselves, the more they unconsciously offload their emotional stress onto the people around them. Sometimes this looks like someone complaining to you about the same things over and over. Sometimes this looks like someone who is always playing the victim. And sometimes this is someone who doesn't want to be better. They just want to simply feel better. and it's at your expense. That can be energetically expensive. Carrying someone else's emotional burdens is when you become their emotional punching bag or unpaid therapist. Not because life is hard, but because they refuse to take responsibility for it. Especially with people who consistently see the worst in everything, or who stay stuck in the same problems year after year without changing anything. When the same issue repeats with different people, places, or circumstances, the common denominator isn't bad luck. The common denominator is their refusal to change. So at some point, empathy without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. I've worked too hard to build a life of peace to carry someone else's chaos for them. And if you're committed to peace too, you have to be willing to step away from people who require you to suffer in order to be understanding. Support is mutual. Burden is one-sided. This next sign is a priority for me. Sign number 4 is when you constantly feel energetically drained from being around them. For example, I had a person in my life that I really cared about, but every time I would share an insight, a perspective, or a creative idea, they would immediately shut it down by saying they don't agree, or they would turn it into some sort of debate. I was looking to connect and build each other up, not for this relationship to turn into another obstacle that I had to overcome. The connection lacked harmony and would shift into a state of friction at the flip of a switch. It felt combative and I was tired of it. Even after I expressed all this to them, nothing changed. It got to the point where I didn't express myself anymore to them, and I somehow felt more alone in that connection than I would have on my own. Eventually, I decided to end the connection so I could find people who communicated through a sense of togetherness instead of always feeling at odds with one another. So ask yourself, which relationships constantly drain me without nourishing me? Which people make me feel like I have to be less of myself? People who are truly meant for you will add color to your life, not take it away. How you consistently feel around someone is one of the fastest ways to determine how much access they should have with you. Because all of your dreams, all of your ideas, and your entire future need your energy in order to develop them. How can you grow the things you truly care about when there are people who are constantly beating on you? Other people won't have to live with the consequences of you not being able to create the life you desire, but you will. Don't allow your feelings of guilt be the reason you're not living the life of your dreams. And always keep in mind that what consistently drains you is asking to be released. Now, sign number 5 is the sneakiest of them all. It's when they either only feel close when you're struggling or only when you're thriving. Never both. There are people who either only can relate to your lows or only want to benefit from your highs. There are people who aren't looking to embrace you in your wholeness. Now, this may not seem like a big deal, but allow me to explain why it is. In the case that someone only relates to your lows, this may look like someone who connects with trauma bonding, drama, or can only speak with you in the terms of the same old, same old. These are people who aren't supportive of your growth, people who diminish your goals, or subtly try to make you feel smaller. They may say things like, "Won't that be difficult?" Or, "Good luck with that." Or they may even attempt to position themselves as someone who knows better than you, even if they have absolutely no experience themselves. These are people who either need to feel equal to you or better than you. Anything else and they'll feel uncomfortable, and they'll try to manipulate you into not actualizing your goals, your ideals, or your dreams. They need to go. On the other hand, people who only wish to benefit from your highs are nowhere to be seen except when you're winning at life. These are people who don't really care about you. They only care about the things you have, the things you provide for them, or the things that may come with being associated with you. They aren't consistently there for you and will disappear the moment you're going through a rough time or aren't as prominent in the public eye anymore. They're opportunists and they don't provide support in return. They also need to go. People meant for you don't only show up for parts of you, they show up for all of you. Life is too short to be surrounded by ambiguous relationships, meaning your relationships shouldn't confuse you. They should bring you clarity. Are you surrounded by people who truly want the best for you? People who are inspired by you? People who want to see you win? Who pour into you just as much as you pour into them? Do they love to see you happy and successful? And do they feel for you when you're struggling? These signs aren't meant to make you afraid. They're meant to make you honest. You don't need to justify distance from what consistently costs you peace and energy. Please share this video with someone who may need to hear it. And thank you for spending time with me. Stay awake, stay sovereign, and stay becoming.